The entire stepfamily showed up on my front porch after years of silence, wanting to know why I'd cut them off. The irony was so thick, I could barely breathe. It wasn't until they heard I'd built a successful career that they suddenly decided my silence was a problem. Years before, they were the ones who banned me from a big family event, the final confirmation after a lifetime of being left out. Now, seeing their confused, almost angry faces on my own doorstep just confirmed everything I'd been forced to realize. My feelings didn't just matter less. They didn't matter, period. To them, I was a ghost in their lives, and my silence was just an inconvenience once they thought they could get something from me. My name is Laura. Let me take you back to how this all started. Ever since my dad remarried, I felt like I was studying my own family, just trying to figure out the rules of a game I was never taught. I didn't just get a stepmom. I was dropped into a world that was already complete without me. It had its own memories, inside jokes, and history, none of which included me. They were the insiders, and I was, and apparently always would be, the outsider. It wasn't just small slights. It was a pattern of deliberate exclusion. It was being the only one not invited on their annual weekend trips, seeing the happy photos pop up on social media afterward. It was discovering they'd all gone out for a family dinner to celebrate a milestone I didn't even know was happening. I'd try to jump in during conversations, share a story from my week, and my words would just hang there in the air, ignored, until my stepsister changed the subject back to a vacation they took years before I was in the picture. I felt like a ghost in my own home, just a background character in their lives. Feeling overlooked all the time really does something to you. It stops feeling like an accident and starts feeling like a judgment on your worth. The message I got, loud and clear, was that my presence was tolerated, not wanted. It made me believe there was something wrong with me, that I was just fundamentally unlovable. I later learned there's a term for this: childhood emotional neglect. It's not about what your family does to you, but what they don't do. No one asked how my day was. No one celebrated my small wins. I was just there, an accessory to a family I was desperate to belong to. For years, I tried so hard. I bought thoughtful gifts, remembered everyone's birthdays, and offered to help out, just doing anything to earn my spot. I kept trying to fit myself into the puzzle, but every single time, it felt like trying to merge onto a highway where no one will let you in. The harder I tried to be seen, the more invisible I felt, and the more I blamed myself. The final straw wasn't another missed trip. It was a door slammed shut in my face for good. My stepmother was turning 60, and the family was planning this huge surprise party. I heard them whispering about it for weeks, hushed phone calls and secret texts that would stop the moment I got close. After years of being left out of smaller events, I guess I just foolishly assumed something this big had to include me. I even bought a placeholder gift, just waiting for the details. I found out I was banned from the party through a social media post. My stepsister posted a picture of the fancy invitations with the caption, "The final planning for Mom's Big 6 Nero is done. Can't wait to celebrate with the whole family next Saturday." I wasn't included in the group chat. I never got the invitation. The silence from them was deafening. I waited a whole day, my stomach twisted in knots, just hoping it was a mistake. Finally, I couldn't stand it anymore, so I called my stepsister. Her voice was cold, like she'd rehearsed it. "Oh, yeah. We just decided it would be better, simpler, if it was just the original family. You know, less complicated." Less complicated. My very existence was a complication. That one sentence just broke me. All those years of feeling like an outsider weren't just in my head. This wasn't them just forgetting about me anymore. This was a deliberate choice to exclude me. It was a formal announcement after a long history of informal ones. You do not belong. The pain was so sharp and so real, it felt like I'd been punched in the chest. It was the confirmation of my deepest fear. I wasn't family. The week of the party was one of the loneliest I've ever had. My phone was dead silent. Not a single person from my stepfamily called to check on me, explain, or apologize. It was like by kicking me out of the party, they had erased me from their lives entirely. That silence felt like its own form of cruelty, drilling home how invisible I was to them. I was mourning the idea of the family I thought I had. I was mourning the relationship I thought I had with my own father, who was obviously a part of this decision. But then, as the hours ticked by, something else started to bubble up. The desperate sadness slowly started to turn into this quiet, cold anger. And for the first time, the anger wasn't aimed at myself. It was at them. That's when I realized my whole approach had been wrong. I was trying to earn love from people who were never going to give it. I was looking for validation from the very people who built their family identity on my exclusion. It was a power trip for them, a way to make themselves feel important by making me feel small. So, I made a decision. I was done. No more phone calls, no more texts. I was dropping the rope. The only way to win a rigged game is to stop playing. I blocked their numbers. Then I took all the energy I had spent begging for their approval and poured it into myself. For the next 3 years, I focused on my career, my friendships, and my own healing. I built a life where I was the main character, a life so full that their absence became a relief. 3 years later, my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I looked through the peephole, and my blood ran cold. It was my stepmother, with my two step-siblings on either side of her. My dad was just standing awkwardly behind them on the lawn. My first thought was, "How dare you?" My hands were shaking, but I opened the door. I didn't invite them in. I just stood there, blocking the doorway. My stepmother started, her voice full of a fake, sugary sweetness. "Honey, we know it's been a while. We heard about your new business, and we are so incredibly proud. We were hoping we could talk." I just stared at her. "Proud?" I said, my voice steady. "It took you 3 years and news of my success to show up at my door. The last time we spoke, you made it clear my presence was a complication. So why are you really here?" My stepsister immediately jumped in, all defensive. "Oh my God, you're still holding on to that? We thought you'd moved on. We just want to be a family again." "You didn't want to be a family when all I had to offer was myself," I said flatly. "Now that I'm successful, you want back in? You deliberately excluded me. After years of leaving me out of trips, dinners, and your lives. That birthday was the final straw." My stepbrother, who'd been quiet, finally said, "We're your family. You can't just cut us off." And that's when it all came out. "Can't I?" I asked. "You seem to think family is something you can opt in and out of when it benefits you. You get to decide when I'm a complication, and when I'm a success story you want to be part of. That's not family. So yes, I can cut you off. In fact, I already did, 3 years ago." They were just stunned, silent. They came here expecting me to be grateful for their attention, ready to fall back in line. They came to reclaim a connection they only valued now that it seemed profitable. But they were looking at a person they didn't recognize, someone who finally believed her own feelings were valid. I looked at their shocked faces, and for the first time, I didn't feel broken or small. I just felt finished. "I think you should go," I said, my voice softer now. They didn't even argue. They just mumbled something, turned around, and walked back to their car. I looked at my dad walk obediently behind my stepmom, just a shadow of the man I used to know. I watched them drive away, and then I closed the door. The click of the lock felt like the last sentence of a very long, very painful chapter. Once the adrenaline wore off, I felt this deep sense of peace. For 3 years, I had been building a life without them, and in that moment, I knew I had made the right choice. I had stood up for myself. I took all the pain and invisibility they handed me, and I refused to carry it anymore. Their visit was never about me being okay or to apologize. It was about their discomfort and what they thought they could gain from my success. It proved that my value to them was always conditional. In the quiet of my house, I understood something new. Being excluded by them was never really about me. It was a reflection of their own issues and their broken dynamic. Growing up feeling left out can make you believe that you're the problem, but it's not the truth. The truth is, you can't force people to see your worth, but you can stop being invisible to yourself. Healing from this kind of emotional wound takes years. It means letting yourself grieve the family you wish you had, and slowly, carefully, building a new, successful life for yourself. A chosen family, where you are seen, heard, and loved for exactly who you are. If any of this story sounds familiar to you, if you've ever been made to feel invisible by the people who were supposed to love you the most, please know this: you're not alone, and it was not your fault. Tell me your story in the comments. Sharing is such a powerful way to take back our own stories. And if you want to hear more inspiring stories, please like and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for listening.